Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. We have some breaking news here from CBS. Mike Waltz out as National Security Advisor, but Trump says he'll be ambassador to UN. It's so breaking that when I refreshed the page, there was a video here of the CBS breaking the news, and it's not here now because it had some interesting little tidbits, but we shall read on. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is leaving the White House post, although soon after reports about his departure was published, President Trump announced his plans to nominate him to be ambassador to the United Nations. It was not clear whether Alex Wong, Waltz's deputy, would remain as the National Security Council as of Thursday afternoon, sources said. The president also said in a social media post that in the interim, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve as National Security Advisor, so he's got a double job going on there. Waltz will need to be confirmed by the Senate for the ambassador role. So, as you can see this quote here, it is on his Truth Social. I am pleased to announce that I will be nominating Mike Waltz to be the next United States ambassador to the United Nations, which was supposed to go to Elise Stefanik, who they wanted to keep in the Senate. From his time in his uniform on the battlefield in Congress as a National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz has worked hard to put our nation's interests first. Now, appears that the background noise is that this was a result of Signal Chat that everyone was talking about for quite some time, and still are on my TikTok, by the way. So here from CNN, Waltz out as National Security Advisor and tap for UN ambassador. So we know that, so I don't need to read an article. What I want to do is I wanted to play some of the breaking news from someone so you could see the way they were wording it and the way it was being phrased.
Caitlin, what are you hearing from your sources?
I mean, this is a surprise to no one at this table who's been covering the White House. Mike Waltz has not had good standing with the White House ever since Signalgate happened, when he inadvertently added a reporter to that group chat, and then later sensitive military information was shared on this group chat. He's really never had super strong standing inside the White House. I mean, I remember this morning someone predicted to me back during the transition, before Trump even took office, that Mike Waltz would likely be the first one to go. And now he is marking the first major staff departure of President Trump's second term. And really, his job has kind of been in limbo all week. We had heard earlier this week that something was going on with him. Officials insisted to us yesterday that his job was safe. But there was a moment that CNN saw on Tuesday when the president was going to Michigan on his 100 days in office. And Mike Waltz, we noticed, traveled on Marine One with him. But 10 minutes later, you see at Joint Base Andrews, that's his figure. He does not get on Air Force One. It's only about a 10-minute flight, so it's extremely odd to take the helicopter flight and then not actually go on the trip. I was told he was not supposed to go on the trip, and so people raised questions about what this moment meant. So we've been asking White House officials about it, and essentially it just got to a point where he didn't have a lot of confidence, not of the president, not of his senior staff, and he was told, I was told earlier this week, that his time as the National Security Advisor had come to an end and it was time for him to leave. And now we are told that he will be departing, and so will his top deputy.
Now, there's all kinds of interpretations, of course, as to how this can be interpreted. And we can see here on X, where a lot of conversation is going on, where the rumor mills and so forth happen. We see from Dutch, Mike Waltz resigns as National Security Advisor. Deputy Alex Wong also out after a leaked Signal Chat scandal. Steve Witkoff is eyed as replacement. Now, keep in mind here, Trump is very, very sensitive to negativity towards him. Right? It's part of his ego, as everyone likes to point out, or the media likes to point out when it's necessary. But Trump has a very big ego, of course, because he is who he is, right? The art of the deal, so forth and so on. You only need to read the books to kind of see. Now, to be successful, there is a certain amount of gravitas that you have to be able to survive the dangers and the corporate, even the lawfare we saw here with him. So National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and his deputy Alex Wong out following Signal Chat incident. The West Wing is unhappy. The State Department is unhappy. This was before Signalgate. Halpern stated, ironically, Signalgate may have saved Waltz's job because the president did not want to be seen that he was giving into Jeffery Goldberg. Now, if you don't know who Jeffery Goldberg is, he is the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, and he is a staunch, first-in-line, top-5 Trump hater. And any opportunity Jeffery Goldberg has to exploit, undermine, disrupt, obstruct the president through his platform, I'll just call as The Atlantic, he will do so. And the argument and so forth that was going back and forth, of course, is that a lot of this information that the media gets is under moratorium, oftentimes, or under NDA. And because they travel with the president, like Caitlin was saying there, she's one of those individuals that is in that inner circle. So they hear this information, and they obviously, through ethics and exercising ethics and decorum, they normally don't reveal this sort of information because, of course, it can cost them their job. But Jeffery Goldberg has no qualms with this because he is an insufferable radical leftist who will and has exposed that chat conversation that we learned that was not necessarily classified. But I keep trying to tell people the commander-in-chief can decide what is or is not classified when it comes to military operations. Now, of course, you have to exercise some common sense here. But Jeffery Goldberg could have exercised some ethics, because I argue that if this had happened under the Biden administration, Goldberg would have gone straight to Lloyd Austin, told him what had happened, and this would never have gone to print, ever. Goldberg would have got his, his brownie points from the admin, or from the establishment, more specifically, and maybe even from Lloyd Austin, if Austin even cared, and he would have never mentioned a single word of it. But that's the way it operates, because Jeffery Goldberg is an insufferable leftist liberal. And we see here from the redheaded libertarian, Pete Hegseth was the hardest cabinet member to pass, because, of course, she's talking about Pete here. There were calls to have him step down within hours of the scandal despite others involved. Now, it's important to note here that typically the way the political scene or club, for the purposes of generalities here, works is that, they decide what is going to make government look good, right? Because when it comes down to the economy, when it comes down to government, when it comes down to governance, it's all about confidence. If there's any sort of scandal or uncertainty or these sorts of things, they are exploited to the maximum. As we saw, of course, under the Biden administration, we saw this under all administrations, but pertaining to particular individuals who immediately almost fold as soon as these scandals come out. Now, Trump directed Pete to hang in there. Now, when it came to Matt Gaetz, it was a different story. Matt Gaetz has a different objective. Matt Gaetz had a different agenda, and I think Mike wanted to just get out entirely. So there's all kinds of interpretations that one could go through when it comes to this. Now, the redhead libertarian does point out some very specific things. Signal is encrypted. Now, people argue about how well it's encrypted. This is how the government frequently communicate. Now, this was it's been mentioned, and I was going to bring it up, that Signal was added by the Biden administration. Now, there is a lot of controversy. There's a lot of back and forth on whether that was actually accurate. I don't have that information in front of me, so I'm just going to say, if you want to look it up, you can. Mike Waltz added Jeffery Goldberg to the chat. So it was Mike who added him, not Pete Hegseth, if there's any confusion to those that were making the argument. Jeffery Goldberg published the chat because he's an insufferable, miserable human being and hates Donald Trump. And I'll get into more of that, how he's an establishment asset and how my outline with him and Lloyd Austin is so accurate. I'm going to prove it to you in a minute. And then better fire Pete Hegseth about it. Okay, so here's I guess she's showing like a Houthi PC small group, 19 members. And in here we see Michael Waltz, add you to group. And then, it just goes on to show that. But I'm going to give you an example of why I often say that the establishment, of course, as I always say, uses the media, which is an extension of the Democrat Party, because here we have an altered Atlantic article. We have talked about this here on the BuzWeaver channel a lot. And that is, stay alive, Joe Biden. Democrats need little from the frontrunner beyond his corporeal presence. That exemplifies what we have been saying on the BuzWeaver channel now for years, that Joe Biden was a surrogate president. He was an empty suit. He was a vessel of the establishment uniparty. They were the ones that were in control. Now, I didn't bring up the article that you guys know I like to mention, and that is the shadow campaign by Molly Ball from the New York, or from Times Magazine, where they talk about the cabal of people that work together. She specifically goes into details about the establishment working together. And Jeffery Goldberg is the chief editor of The Atlantic. And like I said, he will take any opportunity to try to do anything to earn points with the establishment. And now, does this actually codify my statement? Well, that's really up to you to decide. But believe me, when it comes to Jeffery Goldberg, he will do anything and everything to be in the good graces of the establishment uniparty and the Democrats. Now, the article is written by Alex Wagner, but I can assure you, if you guys are very astute and pay very close attention to the BuzWeaver channel, I've not looked this up on my channel itself, although we did talk about things we had to look up because of the changes they made to Joe Biden's outline, the 19 things. Remember, if you watched the video from yesterday, which a lot of people weren't particularly interested in, and I don't really blame you for it, but in that video, there is a lot of examples that illustrate exactly what I'm saying here. How there is a coordinated effort by the establishment, by the media, right, to work against Trump, and how they coordinate together and do the things that they do. And the Atlantic is one of those that does that. And so it's not surprising that Goldberg did what he did when he had the opportunity. And of course, this shows a sense of concern to Donald Trump, because he likes loyal people that are around him. And the last thing he wants, like he learned from his first administration, are a bunch of individuals that are trying to undermine his position. Now, I'm not trying to say that Mike was intentionally trying to undermine him, because it could have been Wong as well who participated in this. That was Alex Wong who could have participated in that. So the rumors are rumors. Now, I'm not going to speculate on it. I'm just kind of giving you guys an outline, a framework from which to work with, because like Caitlin was saying here, they knew what was going on because she's
Caitlin,
in that inner circle, right? She's in that inner circle of people that I tell you that's on moratorium and under NDA and these sorts of things. And that's how they release things, right? That's how we know what the president's speech is. That's how they know to prepare for the president's speeches. That's how they know to prepare to break stories and to the world, as it were, because they get the information sometimes several hours ahead of time, even sometimes days or a day or more. And so they're under that NDA, they're under that moratorium, and then they release it. But Jeffrey Goldberg could have exercised some level of ethics and principles and not share the information, and basically maybe told Mike or whomever there, or even the president, hey, by the way, I was inadvertently added to the Signal chat. But he can't do that because Goldberg is an insufferable leftist who hates Donald Trump. And so that's why that happened. Now, of course, I have my own bias in that to emphasize how despicable of a human being Jeffrey Goldberg is. But that's the media for you. They don't have to answer to anyone. They're not accountable to anyone. There is no oversight committee for the media. And this is why I'm glad to see a lot of the changes that they have made there under the Trump administration, especially with the new media, as they call it there, that Caroline Levitt handles sometimes with content creators and so forth. So you guys will have to let me know down in the comments section. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that it was Mike Waltz or maybe Wong who compromised that conversation? Because as the Redhead Libertarian says, that person has to be manually added to a group chat. It is not some kind of auto setting or auto group add when using that application, apparently. I've not looked into like how it actually works and so forth. And I tried to find some information on a rumor about Goldberg, who had praised the Signal chat back in an article that was supposedly written in April of 2017. I was not able to find that in any of my searches. I had an image of it, and the reason it may not be in the BuzWeaver archives is because I was not able to verify it, right? Because people come on here on X and they'll say things like we see here, which individuals are basically in a rumor mill of information. Not that they're inaccurate, they're just not extraordinarily on the level of accuracy. So, but you guys all let me know in the comments section. Do you think this is going to settle the Signal chat Signal Gate incident, and whether Mike Waltz was involved, or was it Alex Wong? Could have been the both or two, or however that worked out. Trump was not going to tolerate any undermining of him. But if he's going to make Waltz, send him to the UN in place of at least Stefanik, then maybe that's something that's going on. Maybe he knows. Maybe he's more concerned about Alex Wong. So you guys all let me know down in the comments what you guys think. And of course, below this video, you can find the various social media links that I belong to include X, as you see up here in the top left-hand corner. And if you order frequently from Amazon or are a Prime member, you can use my landing page link, which is safe and your privacy is protected. And speaking of privacy while you're online, of course, I have my favorite VPN, Trust Zone, down there. It is a no-bloat VPN. Straight to what you need to do, all about the business, and that's what we do here on the BuzWeaver channel too. And I want to thank all of you guys across New Tech. That's BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey, as well as those on TikTok if you've survived this long to actually watch the video, which they normally don't. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much. Appearing there on the screen for all of you watching on the YouTubes, which is a whole other story. That will be the channel icon. You guys can click on that to subscribe, as well as to select notifications. That way you know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys tomorrow in the Friday vlog.